afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Awaken to Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Vernell. I have a return guest who is incredible, Laura Charanza, who is a powerhouse when it comes to understanding people and relationships. And although her education did not come easy, Laura was raised by a narcissist and then married one. In 2018, she captured stories from those years of abuse in the Amazon #1 best-selling book, Ugly Love. Now Laura's back with her new release, The New Truth About Dating. Welcome, welcome, and welcome back, Laura.
Well, thanks, Vernell, so much for having me. And I'll just give everybody a little secret. One reason I do so well emotionally is I work occasionally with you as my coach, and you are amazing. I'm like, I need to talk to Vernell about this.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, you are amazing. You've helped me through some, because even though life is great now, we still have bad days, and you've helped me through some tough times. And boy, do I learn from you. So thank you for that, and thank you for having me.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for, agreeing to come back. I want everyone to know a little bit more about, your book. Like, how did all of this get started for you? So you talked about, I know in one episode that we did, I think it was like episode 34, where we really talked about surviving narcissistic abuse. Mm-hmm. So how did you get from narcissism to now start talking about this new truth about dating?
As a survivor, and I hope to think of myself as a thriver, we all want love. We all want a good, solid, healthy relationship. And I've obviously learned what not to look for and what not to do. And the last 7 years being, I've had a couple of serious, wonderful relationships, but also been out there, and dating can be difficult sometimes. And I hear that from a lot of my clients and friends, a lot of single people that just say it's a roller coaster of emotions. So they just stop and they quit. And is that the solution? I don't know. It might be for some people, but there is a way to date and still keep your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and not have your heart always broken.
I like that, because I think what you're essentially saying is that there is a way to date without settling.
Yes.
That you can re-engage in dating without feeling like you compromised yourself, you completely settled yourself. So like, what are some tips and strategies that you share with your audience about, dating? Or is your book really based off of, kind of like some stories of your lived experiences?
Both, all of it. I sat down to write a short book, and it ended up being 58,000 words or something. It's packed full of information. I would say some of the most important points that I make is in any relationship that dissolves, there's always usually the heartbreaker and the heartbreakee. I used to always be over here because I would go in head first every relationship because I wanted love so badly. Wow. And in this book, I teach people how to back off and not be vulnerable so quickly. Sometimes if you're an empath or a highly sensitive person, we want that emotional connection so bad, whether it's with a friend or a potential partner or whatever. We need to wait before we share our deepest, darkest secrets in our hearts with people until we know that they're a good person, until we trust them. Yeah, so that's one of the things I teach people how to do.
I love that, because, one of the things that I kind of think about and I tell myself is to be sober-minded, right? So in order for you to be sober-minded, there's some things that should not happen necessarily early on in that relationship, because sometimes when you let intimacy happen too early, too quickly, then it clouds your judgment, and you can't always see those red flags that are just like screaming in front of you. Because if you want to be loved and you want to experience love and things of that nature, you'll compromise some things very quickly. And so for me, it is like, I keep my distance for a little while, right? So it has to be like phone calls. Let's see if there's a nice connection and things like that. Right. So what are some ways that other people can be more sober-minded when they're thinking about, kind of like dating, aside from, just not sharing all these things? Because I think sometimes what happens is that, from the offset, you just want to share everything about yourself. Like, oh, I did this, and I've been here, and I want this, and where are we right now in this interaction?
Yes, right. I think the number one thing is is if you have the confidence going in, and this is what my experience was early on, because I still hadn't healed enough to even be out there dating. We got to heal first before we get out there. Make sure you have put as much as you can behind you, if any trauma from childhood or adulthood. That sometimes women, especially more women than men, we get in these relationships and we're like, pick me, pick me, pick me. When really we need to think about, well, is he what I want? Is she what I want?
Right.
Because we have a say in this as well. So I think that's the number one thing, is just about your mindset, that you are worthy, you are valuable, know that. And like you said, with the intimacy, I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase. Men don't think clearly until they have sex. Women think clearly until they do.
Oh,
that's how different we are.
I never heard that before. Yeah, that's so interesting. I think some of this stuff for a lot of us is kind of like, it feels like trial and error. But what I love what you just shared was about getting healed first. And I think sometimes we are in such a rush to be in relationship that we think that being with someone will heal whatever those old wounds, those past hurts are. And then the sad reality is that they start to manifest themselves in the course of your relationship. And one of the ways that I describe it, in the way that I see it sometimes, is you got to be careful, because during the course of a relationship, you start to chisel away, right? So you can chisel away at someone's self-esteem, their self-worth, even your own, based on the person that you're with. So it is important for you to have whatever strategies you need from a therapist, so that you can go into whatever interaction whole, and you're not looking for someone to complete you.
Exactly. Because so many times we're just putting a Band-Aid on top of a Band-Aid on top of a Band-Aid. I mean, for example, one of the stories I tell in the book is I met a guy on Bumble. We had the conversation. He seemed like a solid, nice person, Christian guy, was kind of cute, handsome. And I thought, okay, I'll meet you for a drink. The minute I got there, I can feel people's energy. I guess it's this weird gift, if you want to call it a gift, but his energy was so bad. It wasn't evil or sinister. It was very sad. And so I just was like, hey, Paul, it's so good to meet you in person. How's your day been? He's like, it's been okay. I go, you seem a little down. He goes, I broke up with my girlfriend 2 days ago. Okay. I'm like, all right. This is a whole thing, buddy. We got to unpack here. And no, you shouldn't even be sitting here right now. You need to be, processing and healing, and maybe being with some friends, not a potential date or love interest. So
I think too, sometimes what happens, first of all, I did a big eye roll when you said that. It's like he broke up with somebody 2 days
ago.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, is that sometimes people are looking to be fixed, and sometimes people are looking to fix other people, right? And so they go into these interactions really quickly. And what you were describing in my mind was like a spirit of sadness. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been around people, and it doesn't matter how much you might try to encourage or uplift, they have a spirit of sadness on them. And when I start feeling that and seeing it, I pull back, because in a dating situation, I'm not your therapist, and I don't want to be your therapist. I'm not trying to help you cope through, different realities and things of that nature. And it's not being mean. It's just simply like, that's why they have different professionals out there that could assist you with whatever those things are. But it's just so interesting too, how people will jump right, like try to rebound into something else, because they're looking for whatever they felt like they were missing.
Exactly. So, we ended the date, we had a drink, and it was nice. And I didn't go out with him again. I thought he's just got too much healing to do.
Yeah, a big block. I would have been like, block. Like, this is not going to work out. So how, Laura, this would be like some really great kind of like tidbits, advice and stuff. I personally don't do online dating. Not because I don't think anything is wrong with it. I just know myself well enough, just the energy that it takes to kind of like go through the motions and things like that. But in this new era of where online dating is so socially acceptable, what are some things that people should be like in this idea of dating? What are some things that they should be doing or looking for in this like online atmosphere?
I think the number one thing is when people put in their profile, the culture has gotten, we have what we have the kingdom and we have regular culture, right? And culture has gotten to where everything is casual, and a lot of people aren't looking for long term. They just want to date and a hookup. And when somebody puts casual in their profile, believe them. Don't go out with him or her trying to change them. Well, they haven't met me yet. No, if they put casual, they're looking for casual. And even some people who say long term are looking for casual because they usually ask you on these dating apps. Another thing about online dating is you've got to learn to have a thick skin, because technology has made it so easy for people to ghost. Those people who avoid conflict, or don't want to have any kind of deeper conversation if something goes sideways, they can just delete you or block you or never respond to you again. And if you're too nice, that can really hurt your feelings when it's not a reflection on you, it's their character issue, right? I think that was one of the hardest things that I had to learn. I took every non-response, or if I was ghosted, I took it personally. And now it's like, okay, you just saved me some time. Bye.
Oh yeah, I love that. Just thick skin. A friend of mine, oh my God, the last three men who she's dated, they've all ghosted her. And I just kind of like, I haven't experienced that. But I could see the impact that it was having on her, kind of like self-esteem. It's like you want to be in something so badly, you start to engage with these people, you feel like you're putting your best foot forward, and then like things seem to be going well, and then boom, they're gone. And you don't know if they died, you don't know if they got into some type of accident or something happened in their family. And she was saying like one of the guys was married. Right. She found out that he was married. And I was like, oh my God, like married men are also on, out there, potentially on these dating apps looking for, maybe it's the casual, I don't know. Maybe they're looking for committed. Have you encountered something like that before? Like married?
Oh, of course. Of
oh
course.
My God.
And a lot of times they'll put that in their profile. I have an open marriage, looking for, as my dad would have said a long time ago, a side piece, right? Because he has all these jokes about men not being good people. And yeah, and I've also had the couple pop up that is looking for a third, and that was just disgusting. I mean, for me, I thought this is not for me. So, and I've also met some great men on there. Like I've had 3 serious boyfriends, and all 3 of them I met on Bumble. And, 2 of the 3 were just really good men. It was just, there were just some things, it just wasn't going to work long term. Good men. And I still keep in touch with those 2.
Yeah, that's first of all, ooh, Jesus, I tell you, Laura, I'm like, okay, I must be such a square, because I guess it never even occurred.
That's why it's the new truth.
Okay. I must be such a square, because I guess it never even occurred to me, 1, that married man would be on there. 2, that people are looking for that third person to kind of like fill up that relationship. Now, I've seen stuff like that, of course, on television shows. But Law and Order always says, drawn straight from the headlines or something like that. Like there are, these things are actually happening. So yeah, I think that your title is very appropriate to kind of say the new truth, because we are in a very different like dating world, so to speak. Like it used to be okay and appropriate is now no longer that. It's like you either have to get with the program, or you might choose, like some people. I know a lot of women who just said like, I don't want to date anymore. I'm not ghosted. Like, Lord, if they don't fall straight out the sky, then I'm just not going to date. Like, what do you say to women like that when they've just gotten so fed up with kind of like online dating? They've just gotten so fed up with perhaps being ghosted, and they want to be in something serious, but they're just like, you know what? I'm just going to do life by myself.
To take a break from dating and get your mojo back, to, pray a lot, things that you and I do, spend time with the Lord. Vernell, everybody always tells me, get in the word when you're having a hard time with anything. And it helps so much to talk to other people that have had a hard time dating. And there are a lot of stories like that in this book. Because the online dating can also work for you. But I think the main points I try to make in the book are just about keeping your self-esteem and your self-confidence. And online dating is really just a snapshot of humanity. But we're seeing so much more of what's really going on in the world because we can get that snapshot that's huge through technology. And for many of us, it's surprising and discouraging, a little depressing.
Yeah.
But there are some good people on there too that just want to find the one. And
yeah. It can be really discouraging, I think, for, kind of like picking through. I've heard swipe left, swipe right. I don't know which way you're supposed to swipe. But I think I've seen so many women in particular who are lonely. And honestly, I've come across a lot of men who are also lonely as well.
Right.
And they also settle for like, I'm just going to do life by myself, right? I don't want to get married again. In other words, I don't want to be hurt the way that I was hurt before. And sometimes what they settle for is the casual, right? Like giving all of themselves into these different relationships and stuff like that. What are some other truths that you share? Like, that was so good about kind of like the online dating and just trying to make sure that you have a thick skin, and also just using my word of just being sober-minded as you try to engage in this new era of dating. What are some additional like tips or advice you can offer to people?
I teach people how to get past rejection more quickly, and it's really putting a positive spin on it. And this is something that we touched on when we worked with Dr. Darius Daniels, you and I both, and all of our friends. We have to understand, okay, rejection hurts. It's one of the worst things that, you can go through in life, whether it's a job, a lover, a family member, whatever it may be. Own that, go, okay, this sucks. And then understand that rejection is most often protection. There was a conversation you didn't hear. There was something you didn't see. And the Lord is protecting you, or the universe, or your higher power, whatever you believe in. And there are many times we're not going to end it. So it just ends, or God ends it. That's what I believe. And it's also, we got to understand it's a new direction. It's saying, okay, this may be good, but you're settling. There's great. Laura, Vernell, I have great for you. So go this way. And Henry Cloud wrote a great book called Necessary Endings. And it's about how sometimes jobs must come to an end, relationships must come to an end. And again, we're not going to end them. So they end. And then the best is right on the other side of that door. So we just have to hang on, get through the pain, work through it, and understand that rejection is our friend. Think about, I have relationships I look back on from like 2018. I'm like, praise Jesus, I didn't marry that one.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bounce back factor. I think
that's a good phrase.
Yeah, it's the bounce back. I love the fact that you are teaching people how to handle rejection, because we don't often know how to emotionally deal with when someone says no to us, or I'm done with this, right? And so then you take on all of that, like whatever the wound is, you take it all inside, and you like, something's wrong with me. I wasn't good enough. And so everything starts to turn inward. And I just remember having that season for myself, when my ex-husband left, and I just felt like what could I have done differently to get him to stay? And it wasn't until I really started getting into God's word and really resting at his feet. And I got to a place where I wasn't blaming myself, and I absolutely did not blame my ex-husband for what happened. I started becoming more thankful to who God was and that God chose me. And I was like, Father, thank you for being the husband that he wasn't able to be to me. Like, you show me what love is, even though I didn't experience it the way that I wanted to in the, in my marriage. And so there's so many things and lessons that God really taught me about myself and what love is really supposed to look like, right? The way that he designed it. And so, yeah, when you have gone through rejection, and for me, if you don't go back to God, it's like you might internalize some of that stuff. And again, you'll drag that thing and that feeling into the next relationship. And what that looks like is something real simple as if your ex-husband, ex-wife or whatever, would not return text messages quickly. When you get into a relationship, you haven't addressed that. When this person does that, and it could be a legitimate reason why, you will just
in a meeting or sick or whatever.
You'll jump to the wrong conclusion. And then you'll start like comparing that person to the person who hurt you before. And so I just having those strategies to really deal with being rejected, that is so key and is so critical. Are there anything else, any additional insights? Now, I don't want you to give everything away because I want people to go on to Amazon and to buy your book. And I'm going to make sure that everything is in the show notes, but is there any additional insights that you just want to add that you highlight in the book?
I have put up a video, and it's also on TikTok, and it's about 5 signs that you're settling. So that's in the book too. And like a couple of them are, you pick apart your mate, you can't stand, everything they do is wrong. That's one of them. And then the other one is, you're asking people, like if you meet me calling you going, Vernell, do you think he's the one? I mean, what do you think? He does this and this and this. Okay. Like, I'm a believer in when you know. So if you're having major doubts, slow down.
Yeah. Look, the slow down factor, that could be a whole chapter.
That could be a whole book.
Just to really slow. I think, because we are living in this fast-paced technology era, that we want relationships to be that fast too. We want to, boom, see that person, know this is the one, start planning out the wedding before you get to know that person, naming the kids, like you're going through all of these like emotions, right? Because everything is happening fast, and we don't even pause, slow down to really try to evaluate whether this is someone who shares similar values and beliefs as you do, because marriage is really about the day to day, right? Your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I think sometimes what happens is that we like to post these images what we define like a successful marriage to look like. But if you're not investing in yourself in that relationship, it may not survive the way that you want it to, or I should say thrive the way that you want it to. Okay, so that. Like, I made that up, everybody, the slow down factor, but that's inside the words.
No, that is so true though. And I think that's something you and I have talked about in the coaching session is just take your time. There's no rush. There's just no rush.
Yeah, I was listening to the sermon by T.D. Jakes, and he was talking about forsaking our thoughts, right? In other words, meaning like, if you thought you would be married by this point, if you thought you would have kids by this point, God says his ways are not our ways, his thoughts are not our thoughts. And so we have to forsake what we wanted and what we thought, because then we'll miss what God actually is putting right in front of us. If we're like, well, Lord, you know what my desires are. I want a man who is 6'5", and then this man approaches you and who's 5'9", you might dismiss him because in your mind, you thought that God would bring you someone that you desired in terms of, stature and height. And it may just be like inwardly, spiritually, this is the person that would connect to you the best, right? And so like, I think that's important too, to kind of, if you take yourself off of the timetable that you put yourself on, it will allow you to kind of pace yourself and go at the pace of grace as you are starting to get to know people. And I know for me, when I was dating, and when I do date, I'm looking for everything, right? I'm trying to focus in on what you're saying, focus on what you're not saying. But the one thing that God did tell me to do is whoever I choose to date, right, then I need to give them trust, give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
That was really
Right.
hard for me to do. To
Oh,
just,
me too.
yeah,
Think of
it's so hard to
everything, yeah,
do.
we've been through.
But again, God's ways are not our ways. And that helped to release, and it took such a burden off of me so that I didn't have to look at that person so suspiciously.
Right. Right.
All
And
the
like
time.
I think you said to me the other day in a conversation, you said, Laura, you have trust and let God deal with what happens if this person isn't who they
Mhm,
are acting like they are or pretending to be.
mhm.
Just, yeah, God will deal with it. Oh, and he
Yep.
does. Oh, he
He,
does.
let me tell you, he will deal with it. I mean, in ways that you cannot even imagine. And I think, Laura, for, kind of like as we kind of like wrap it up and stuff like that, but we've been through a lot, right?
We have.
As you get older in relationships. And
Right.
my thought is always this: my heart was shattered when my ex-husband left, but
Yes.
God put every piece of those shards back together and made me whole again, so I can deal with being brokenhearted.
Right.
I can survive it. And so if you've gone through that type of pain before,
Right.
don't be afraid to enter into the next season of dating, right? Because God, he can mend it back together. He heals the brokenhearted and he binds up their wounds, right?
He does. He does. You just bring it to him and lay it at his feet. And every time, because I mean, I'll be honest, I love so hard. I get my heart broken sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Every heartbreak's been a little less,
Mm-hmm.
I've had like 2 or 3 big ones, those relationships that ended, and 2 of them were mutual and we both hurt. But every time I feel God's presence and I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine.
We have to tell ourselves that. It's like an affirmation: I'm going to be okay. Like, this is not the end of the world. That God can reposition other people into my life. And like, I love that. All right. So Laura, where can people find you, connect with you, and where can they get the book? And again, tell us the title of your book again.
It is The New Truth About Dating, Navigating the Ups and Downs for a Healthy Dating Life. So you can get it on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, but Amazon's so easy. It shows up at your door or immediately on your Kindle. And my website has links to everything. My previous book on narcissism, Charanza.com. And one more thing in this dating book is like, I spent a couple of months off and on working with a psychologist. We developed a dating questionnaire.
Ooh.
It's 21 questions that it helps you determine if the person you're dating is a safe person and that you are ready to give them your heart or just to continue the relationship. And it has some questions you don't think about asking yourself, like, does this person have a friend with benefits? How does this person treat his or her mother or father? It's just good stuff. So
people don't think about that. Those are really great questions to ask. Now, is that like the questionnaire? Is that only in the book? Is it like, is there a link where people can do it electronically as a, kind of like a lead magnet for you? Or
yes, there
the
is.
only way they can get it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is if you grab the book and there's a website where you can enter your receipt number or whatever, and it will automatically send you the link to that questionnaire. And I think I'm going to leave it up the entire year of 2023. It's expensive to put a quiz like that out for thousands of people, but it's so worth it. So,
oh, I love that, Laura. That right there. I'm gonna go there. First, I'm gonna get the book because I want to support you. The other thing too is I absolutely want to see that quiz, and I want to take the quiz, and I'm going to recommend it to other people as well. But Laura, I just want to thank you yet again for just joining me today. And I really pray and hope that this will be yet again another #1 bestseller for you. That when you wake up in the morning, it's just like, oh my God, I've hit again Amazon #1 bestseller. And so, yes, I pray that all is well.
I hope it helps people, Dr. Vernell. I hope it helps people.
It will.
These are all the things that help me. So
it will definitely bless some lives. I pray that God sends this book far and wide, that it is in different languages so that it can help even more people.
Yeah. Yes, me too. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Likewise, Laura, likewise. And of course, we'll have you come back when I'm sure you're going to write your third book on something.
Oh, no. I'm done. Woo.
You thought just your one book was it. Then now you're in the second book. Oh, I'm done. No, when your third is written, we will have another episode so you can share with us about it. And it'll all be in the same vein of relationships. So I just love that. I'm speaking that over your life.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. Woo, I'm sweating.
Okay. All right. Well, you take care.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.